Good afternoon to all. So in last class, I have discussed about classification of anticholinergic drugs and mechanism of action and pharmacological actions of atropine. So in today's class, I'm going to discuss about pharmacokinetics of atropine and uh, individual actions of atropine substance and adverse effects and uses of anticholinergic drugs. Okay, and first of all I'm going to discuss about atropine. Okay, first one is the atropine. It is a natural alkaloid. Okay, so natural alkaloid and other tertiary anti-muscarinic drugs are well absorbed from the gut region, means it is well absorbed from the GIT region, and it is well absorbed from the conjunctival membranes. Okay, and the drug it can be freely penetrate to cornea also. Okay, and the drug, this atropine and other tertiary agents are widely distributed in the body. Okay, and but scopolamine, also known as hyoscine. Okay, this hyoscine it is a fully distributed in the central nervous system. Because of this hyoscine, it is easily crosses the blood-brain barrier. Okay, it is freely penetrate to blood-brain barrier. So that's why that hyoscine central effects, it will be produced very rapidly than other anti-muscarinic drugs. Because of this drug is freely penetrate to blood-brain barrier. Okay, and other quaternary derivatives are poorly taken up by the brain because of other quaternary derivatives. Okay, and these other quaternary derivatives are poorly penetrate to blood-brain barrier. Okay, so that's why it is poorly taken up by the brain. Okay, and this atropine it is metabolized in the liver because of the liver is a major primary site for the metabolism of drugs. Okay, so this atropine is a major atropine is the 40% of this atropine it is metabolized in the liver. Okay, by glucanol conjugation. Okay, so glucanol conjugation means what? It is a phase two reaction. Okay, and the remaining 60% of this drug is excreted through the urine in a unchanged form. Okay, and because of only 40% of the drug is metabolized in liver, so that's why the remaining 60% of the drug is excreted through urine in a unchanged form. And this atropine effects it will be disappears uh, quickly within 2 hours, except I. Okay, and atropine substituents. So these are semi-synthetic and synthetic derivatives are the examples. So synthetic derivatives again consist of four types: mediatic, anti-secretory, antispasmodic drugs, vasoselective drugs, and anti-Parkinson drugs. Okay, so here the pharmacokinetics of atropine and quaternary compounds pharmacokinetic is different. Okay, so quaternary compounds pharmacokinetic is different from the atropine. Okay, so atropine it is well absorbed by oral route. Okay, and it is well absorbed in the gastrointestinal tract. And here the quaternary compounds are incompletely absorbed by oral route. Okay, and that again should be atropine is freely penetrate to eye. Okay, but here that quaternary compounds are poorly penetrate to eye, and it is poorly penetrate to CNS also. Okay, and these quaternary compounds are long acting drug. Okay, because of the rate of elimination is also very slowly. And actually atropine is very active against the muscarinic receptors. Okay, but here the quaternary compounds having higher nicotinic blocking property. Because of these drugs are block the nicotinic receptors in autonomic ganglion. Okay, so these quaternary compounds are also active against the nicotinic receptors, but atropine it is only active against the what muscarinic receptors. Okay, but other quaternary compounds are. Okay, so other quaternary compounds are also highly active against the nicotinic receptors. Okay, it blocks the nicotinic receptors in ganglion. As a result of blockade of nicotinic receptors, there are two kinds of adverse effects it will be produced. That is postural hypotension and impotence. Impotence means what? Um, Erectile dysfunction. What is erectile dysfunction? The person is unable to erect the penis. Okay, the person is unable to erect the penis during the sexual intercourse. So that is called as impotence. Okay, and what is hypotension? Means the BP, it will be drops abnormally. Okay, so when the person is stand up after the sitting position and often the lying down position. Okay, so that is called as postural hypotension. And this quaternary compounds is block the neuromuscular junction. Okay, so it blocks the neuromuscular transmission also. Okay, at higher doses of this quaternary compounds, there is a blockade of neuromuscular junction. Okay, and next one is the individual drugs atropine substituents. Okay, so these are the semi-synthetic derivatives. Okay, so this belladonna derivatives. Example is hyoscine butyl bromide. Okay, so this hyoscine butyl bromide, it is taken by oral route or intramuscular route. Okay, and the brand name of this drug is Buscopan. Okay, and this drug is used to relieve the spasm in GIT. Means it is used for the treatment of abdominal pain. Okay, why it is used to reduces the abdominal pain? Because what is the effect of atropine on GIT is the motility is decreases. The gastrointestinal motility is decreases by atropine because of this drug having relaxant property, the smooth muscle relaxant property. Okay, because of this drug is highly active against the muscarinic receptor. It block the what kind of receptors? Muscarinic receptor activity. Okay, and atropine methonitrate. Atropine methonitrate is also taken by oral route and IM route, and the drug is used to relieve the symptoms of abdominal discomfort. Nothing but it is used to relieve the abdominal pain. Okay, and hyperacidity. So why hyperacidity? Why it is used in hyperacidity? Because of atropine, it is highly active against the muscarinic receptors, that is M1 receptors. So the gastric gland consists of what kind of receptors? That is M1 receptors. So here the atropine drug is highly active against M1 receptors. So as a result of blockade of M1 receptors, there is a gastric gland secretion, it will be decreases. Okay, the gastric gland secretion is decreases means the gastric juices volume is also decreases. So here that's why the atropine methonitrate is used in the hyperacidity condition. Okay, and next one is ipratropium bromide. Okay, so this ipratropium bromide, it is selectively act on bronchial smooth muscle. Okay, so the effect on bronchial smooth muscle is dilation. Okay, because of ipratropium bromide is also inhibit the M3 receptors. Bronchial smooth muscles consist of M3 receptors. So this M3 receptor activity is blocked by ipratropium bromide. Okay, so what is the action of M3 receptors? It shows the muscle contraction, actually, M3 receptors. Okay, here ipratropium bromide is blocks the M3 receptors. So then what will happen? Bronchodilation, it will be happens. Okay, and this ipratropium bromide having some special characteristics is there. So this ipratropium bromide, it is does not alter the volume. Okay, and it does not alter the consistency of the respiratory secretion. It is only causes the dilation of bronchial smooth muscles. Okay, but there is no effect on respiratory secretion, and there is no effect on volume and consistency of respiratory secretion. And this drug is enhances the what mucociliary clearances. Okay, and the drug is very highly active on larger central airways. Okay, but this drug is very slow acting drug. It is a slow onset of action. So the onset of action is slowly. Okay, and the peak plasma concentration is reached very slowly. Okay, and it can show the bronchodilator effect. The duration of this action is 1 to 2 hours. Okay, and the more the drug is effectively used in the treatment of coronary obstructive pulmonary disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, then asthma. Okay, and some adverse effects of this drug is cough, bad taste, nervousness. Okay, and third, next one is next drug, tiotropium bromide. So tiotropium bromide, it is also similar to ipratropium bromide. Okay, but here ipratropium bromide is slowly acting drug, but tiotropium bromide is a longer acting drug. Okay, that is only difference. And it is selectively active against M1 receptors and M3 receptors. Okay, but ipratropium bromide is selectively active against the only M3 receptors, but tiotropium bromide is selectively active against the both kind of receptors, that is M1 receptors and M3 receptors. Okay, and atropine substance, other atropine substance examples, propanthalin. Okay, so this propanthalin, it is used in the treatment of peptic ulcers and gastritis. Why? Because of it blocks the muscarinic receptors, M1 receptors. That receptors is present in gastric glands. So that's why it is reduces the gastric volume secretions. Okay, and that's why it is used for the treatment of peptic ulcers and gastritis. And same, oxyphenonium is also same, used for the treatment of peptic ulcers and gastric hypermotility. Okay, because of this drug is reduces the GIT motility. So that's why it is used for the treatment of peptic ulcer and gastric hypermotility. Okay, and next clinidium. Okay, so this clinidium drug, it is used for the treatment of nervous dyspepsia. So what is nervous dyspepsia? So normally dyspepsia is nothing but indigestion. Okay, so nervous dyspepsia is nothing but this dyspepsia is associated with tension and anxiety. That is called as nervous dyspepsia and used for the treatment of gastritis. Okay, and inflammatory bowel syndrome. It is one kind of intestinal disorder and colic, abdominal pain. Okay, and pipenzoate methyl bromide, next drug. So this drug is used for the treatment of flatulent dyspepsia. What is flatulent dyspepsia? So flatulent dyspepsia is nothing but it is one kind of stomach upset. Okay, it is one kind of stomach upset. This stomach upset is associated with accumulation of gas in stomach region. So that is called as flatulent dyspepsia. Okay, and infantile colics means what? Means it is defined as episodes of crying, episodes of baby crying. Okay, so that baby crying is occurs for 3 times per day, more than 3 times per day. Okay, so that this infantile colics is maybe occurs due to what? Abdominal discomfort. Okay, so infantile colics is nothing but it defined as episodes of baby crying. It is occurs more than 3 times per day, so due to abdominal discomfort. Okay, so this piperazolate methyl bromide is used for the treatment of flatulent dyspepsia and infantile colics. Okay, and next one is glycopyrrolate. Okay, so this glycopyrrolate drug is taken by IM route and means intramuscular route and oral route. And this one is rapidly acting drug without showing central effects. Because of it does not cross the blood-brain barrier. So that's why there is no central effects. Okay, so but this glycopyrrolate drug, it is used in pre-anesthetic medication. It is used as a pre-anesthetic medication because the drug should be used before giving the anesthesia. Okay, before going to the surgery and before going to the giving of the what? Anesthesia. Okay, the drug should be used before giving of the anesthesia. Why it is used? Because this glycopyrrolate is reduces the secretion, that is saliva secretion, salivary gland secretion, tracheobronchial secretion, and pharyngeal secretion, and gastric secretions. So that's why this glycopyrrolate is used as a pre-anesthetic medications. Means it should be used before giving the anesthesia medication. And Next one is tertiary amines. Okay, so tertiary amines example is dicyclomine. Okay, so this dicyclomine having smooth muscle relaxant property. Okay, and that are having weak anticholinergic activity, and the drug is the dose of this drug is 20 mg oral route or intramuscular route. Okay, but this drug is not recommended below the age of 6 months because of high toxicity, due to high toxicity. And what is the major indication of this drug? Okay, it is used for the treatment of antiemetics. Okay, so that antiemetics, it is used as antiemetics because it is used to reduces the symptoms of mm, morning sickness and motion sickness. So motion sickness is commonly occurs in traveling, okay, due to vestibular excitation. Okay, but morning sickness is very common in first trimester of pregnancy, and the persons who are not getting enough sleep. In that persons also, the morning sickness symptoms will be appears. Okay, and this dicyclomine is used to relieve the symptoms in morning sickness and motion sickness. Okay, and use it to the it is used for the treatment of dysmenorrhea. Dysmenorrhea is nothing but painful menstruation. Okay, and irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, it is one kind of intestinal disorder. Next one, tertiary amines. Uh, Another example of tertiary amines, it is pyrinzapine. Okay, so this pyrinzapine is it is a selectively block the M1 receptors. Okay, it is selectively active against the M1 receptors, but there is no active against the M2 receptor and no active against the M3 receptor. It is selectively inhibit the M1 receptors. So what is the location of M1 receptors? M1 receptors located in gastric glands. Okay, so as a result of blockade of M1 receptors, there is a decrease in the gastric acid secretion. Okay, and it promotes the ulcer healing also. Okay, and next one is valethamate. So valethamate drug having smooth muscle relaxant property. Okay, it is also comes under the tertiary amine. Okay, and it is smooth muscle relaxing property, and this drug is causes the dilation of cervix during the labor. What is cervix? Cervix is nothing but lower part of the intestine. Sorry, the lower part of what? Uterus. Okay, the lower part of uterus is called as cervix. Okay, here valethamate is used. It is the property of valethamate is smooth muscle relaxant. Because of this, valethamate drug is blocks the M3 receptors. Okay, M3 receptors are mainly present in smooth muscles. Okay, so that's why this valethamate having smooth muscle relaxant property. Okay, so because that's why this valethamate is causes the dilation of cervix. Okay, during the labor, and it is used to relieve the visceral pain also. Next one, vasoselective drugs. Okay, example is oxybutynin. So this drug is selectively active against the M1 and M3 receptors. Okay, it is selectively active against the two kinds of receptors, that is M1 receptors and M3 receptors. So that's why they are having smooth muscle relaxant property because of M3 receptors is present in smooth muscles. Okay, so as a result of blockade of M3 receptor activity, then the muscle it will be what relaxed in state. Okay, and the local anesthetic property is also there. Oxybutynin having local anesthetic property. So what is the uses of this drug? Okay, this drug is used to relieve the the symptoms of overactive bladder. Okay, so what is the symptoms of overactive bladder? So that is frequent or urgent urination and incontinence. Incontinence is nothing but urine leakage. Okay, here and one more example is tolterodine. This drug is selectively active against the M3 receptors. This drug is also used for the treatment of urinary incontinence and frequent urination. So the remaining drugs which is comes under the vasoselective drugs, flavoxate, Dorphinocin, sulfinacin, these are similar to oxybutynin because of they are selectively active against the both M1 receptors and M3 receptors. Okay, and it blocks the gastric gland secretions because of it is highly active against the M1 receptors, and it is active against the M3 receptors. So nothing but it causes the muscle relaxant. Okay, because of M3 receptors is present in smooth muscles. Okay, so that's why this kind of drugs having smooth muscle relaxant property. And next one is pediatrics. Okay, next category, pediatrics. So what is the differences between atropine and homatropine? Okay, so here the first character is mydriatic potency. So the mydriatic potency is very high in atropine. Okay, it is a very potent mydriatic atropine. Atropine, it is a potent mydriatic. Homatropine, it is a less potent mydriatic. Okay, and atropine, it is a slow acting drug and long lasting action. Okay, and atropine, it is causes the dilation of pupil, okay, within 30 to 40 minutes, but homatropine, it is causes the dilation of pupil within 45 to 60 minutes. Okay. Mm, Next one is atropine is causes a psychopelgia. Why psychopelgia is occurs? Psychopelgia means what? Near loss of near vision. So the psychopelgia is occurs due to paralysis of ciliary muscles. Okay, so the cycloplegia is occurs due to paralysis of ciliary muscles. So this cycloplegia is occurs within 1 to 3 hours. Atropine, it causes a cycloplegia within 1 to 3 hours, but homatropine does not cause a cycloplegia in children's because the ciliary muscle tone is very high in children's. So that's why homatropine does not process the does not causes the psychoplegic effect, like psychoplegia effect. And atropine effects is last for 7 days. Okay, and homatropine shows a mydriatic effect. This effect is last for 1 to 3 days. And this homatropine effect, homatropine is shows the psychoplegia effect. This effect is occurs in adults. Okay, not occurs in children's. Okay, so homatropine effect is homatropine, it causes a psychoplegia effect, and this effect is last for 1 to 2 days. Okay, so these are the major differences between atropine and homatropine. Both are pediatrics, means dilation of pupil. And another drugs, cyclopentolate and tropicamide. Okay, and cyclopentolate, it is a very potent pediatric drug, and this one is rapidly acting drug. Okay, it is a very potent drug, but it is very rapidly acting drug. And tropicamide, it is a very quickest acting drug, and the cyclopentolate, it shows the pupil dilation. It causes a pupil dilation and cyclopelgia within 30 to 60 minutes. Okay, and tropicamide, it causes a dilation and cyclopelgia within 20 to 40 minutes. And the duration of action of this cyclopentolate is 1 day, and the duration of action of tropicamide is 3 to 6 hours. Okay, and what is a major advantage of this cyclopentolate? Okay, this drug is preferred for the cyclopelzic refraction. Cyclopelzic refraction. So what is cyclopelzic refraction? Means it is a procedure. Cyclopelzic means it is a procedure. This procedure is used to determine the person complete refractive error. Okay, used to determine the complete refractive error by temporary relaxing of the ciliary muscles by using these drugs, that is cyclopentolate. Okay, this drug is mostly preferred for the cyclopelzic refraction. What is cyclopelzic refraction? Means it is one kind of test, diagnosis test. Okay, so this test is used to determine the person complete refractive error. Okay, by temporary relaxing of ciliary muscles with the help of cyclopentolate. And this drug is used for the treatment of iritis and uveitis. Okay, means inflammation of iris and inflammation of eye. Okay, and tropicamide, this drug is mostly preferred in adults. Okay, for same thing, it is also used for the cycloplegic refraction and fundoscopy. Fundoscopy is also known as ophthalmoscopy. Means use the it is used for the testing of the test the fundus of the what eye. Okay, and both cyclopentolate and tropicamide, both drugs are preferred for the cycloplegic refraction test. And what is the therapeutic uses of anticholinergic drugs? Okay, so first one is Parkinsonism. This drug is used for the treatment of Parkinsonism. So why anticholinergic drugs are used for the treatment of Parkinsonism? So firstly, the Parkinson disease is occurs due to overactivity of acetylcholine in basal ganglia and deficiency of dopamine neurotransmitter. Parkinson disease occurs due to two main neurotransmitters, that is overactivity of acetylcholine and deficiency of dopamine. Okay, here our anticholinergic drugs are block the actions of acetylcholine in basal ganglia. Okay, so that's why this anti-Parkinson drug, so these anticholinergic drugs are used to relieve the symptoms of Parkinsonism, that is tremors, rigidity. Okay, that's why anticholinergic drugs are used for the treatment of Parkinsonism. And next one is motion sickness. Why it is used for the treatment of motion sickness? Because of anticholinergic drugs are block the vestibular excitation. The pharmacological actions of atropine on vestibular system is it blocks the vestibular excitation. So as a result of blockade of vestibular excitation, the drug is used to relieve the symptoms of motion sickness. Okay. Bronchial asthma and COPD. Okay, why it is used for the treatment of asthma and COPD? Because of what is the effect of atropine on smooth muscle is relaxant effect. Why it is relaxant effect? Because of blockade of M3 receptors. Okay, what is the function of M3 receptors on smooth muscle? That is contraction. Okay, so the contraction effect is will be replaced by anticholinergic drugs. And the fourth thing is normally the vagus nerve. Okay, the excessive activity of vagus nerve and heart is what the heart rate is decreases, nothing but bradycardia. Okay, the excessive activity of vagal nerve, it causes the bradycardia. Okay, but here our anticholinergic drugs is causes the depression of vagal activity, nothing but vagolytic activity. Anticholinergic drugs having the vagolytic property means depress the actions of vagus nerve. Okay, as a result of vagolytic property. Okay, that drug, these anticholinergic drugs are used for the treatment of sinus bradycardia. Okay, and it is used in partial heart block also. Okay, uh, because of this drug is suppress the vagal activity, vagus nerve activity. Okay, but excessive activity of vagus nerve is causes the partial heart block and it causes a bradycardia. Okay, but the suppression of this vagus nerve activity, this suppression of vagus nerve activity is occurs due to anticholinergic drugs. Okay, so as a result of blockade of this vagus nerve activity, the drug is used for the treatment of bradycardia and partial heart block. Okay, and it is used as an antispasmodic in dysmenorrhea. Okay, dysmenorrhea is nothing but painful menstruation. Okay, so action of this anticholinergic drugs on smooth muscles is uh, laxant effect. So that's why it is used to relieve the spasm. Okay, in smooth muscles, in uteral muscles also, and it is used to relieve the pain of intestine and renal pain and biliary pains, and it is used to relieve the bladder spasm after urosurgery and used for the treatment of urinary incontinence. Okay, because of it shows a relaxant effect on this anticholinergic drug effect on a smooth muscle is relaxant effect. So that's why it is used to relieve the bladder spasm. Okay. Mm, Next one is ophthalmic uses. Okay, this drug shows a mediatic effect, and it is used in the one diagnosis test, that is cyclopelzic refraction. What is cyclopelzic refraction? It is one kind of diagnosis test. This test is used to determine the person refractive error. Okay, by temporarily relaxing the muscle. That muscle name is ciliary muscle, and it is used for fundoscopy. So used for the test of complete examination of the fundus of the eye. Okay, used for the complete examination of fundus of eye. And it is used as a pre-anesthetic medication, and the drug should be used before giving the anesthesia. Because of this, anticholinergic drugs are reduced as the gastric gland secretion, saliva secretions, and tracheobronchial secretion, and pharyngeal secretions. Okay, and this atropine and glycopyrrolate is used to prevent the vagal bradycardia and used to relieve the spasm in larynx. And other therapeutic uses, that is siloria, means what? Hyper salivation. Okay, and the siloria is nothing but hyper salivation. This drug is used for the treatment of siloria, means why? Because atropine, it is decreases the salivary gland secretions. Why decreases the salivary gland secretion? Because of their glands consist of M3 receptors. So that M3 receptors is blocked by anticholinergic drugs. So that's why these anticholinergic drugs are used for the treatment of hyperventilation. Siloria is nothing but hypersalivation. And this drug is used for the treatment of organophosphorus poisoning and some kinds of mushroom poisoning also. And next one, side effects. The side effects of these anticholinergic drugs. So belladonna poisoning is occurs due to overdose. Okay, so the dry mouth is occurs, difficulty in swallowing, difficulty in talking. So why is difficulty in talking, swallowing, and dry mouth is why it is occurs? Because of decreases the salivary gland secretion. Okay, and dry skin, hot and flushed skin due to lack of secretion of sweat. Okay, and it is a fever, difficulty in maturation, and decreases the bowel sounds also. Okay, and it causes the dilation of pupil. Okay, because of paralysis of ciliary muscles, photophobia. Okay, and blurring of near vision. Okay, and at higher doses is causes the excitement. Okay, ataxia is nothing but loss of full control of body movements. And delirium is nothing but mental disturbances and hallucinations. Okay, and at severe poisoning it causes the convulsions and coma also. Okay, um, what is a major symptoms of atropine toxicity? That is hyperpyrexia, means the body temperature is increases, the skin becomes very hot and very red, the red as a beetroot. Okay, due to cutaneous vasodilation. And the skin becomes very dry, and dry as a bone. Okay, and the person becomes blind as a bat. Okay, why blind as a bat? Because of this drug is causes a mydriasis, because the dilation of pupillary occurs, and there is a loss of light reflex, and the cyclopelgia occurs due to paralysis of ciliary muscles. Okay, there is a loss of near vision. Cyclopelgia means loss of near vision. So these are the symptoms of atropine toxicity. That is, the fever, temperature is increases, skin color is becomes red due to cutaneous vasodilation, the skin becomes dry as a bone, and the person become as a blind as a bat due to mydriasis and cyclopelgia. And what is the treatment of belladonna poisoning? So if the poison has been ingested, then immediately the gastric lavage should be done with tannic acid. Okay, so gastric lavages means what? It is one kind of gastrointestinal decontamination technique. Okay, it is one kind of gastrointestinal decontamination technique. That technique mainly the main aim of this technique is to empty the stomach. Okay, to the empty of the stomach. The main aim of this procedure is, and the patient should be kept in dark and quiet room. Okay, and the ice bag should be applied to the person to reduce the body temperature. Okay, and one more thing is physostigmine is given to the particular person. What is physostigmine? It is an anticholinesterase drug. Okay, so normally in belladonna poisoning, what will happen? Um, Belladonna poisoning, what will happen? There is a what cholinergic effects, means the acetylcholine activities decreases because of blockade of muscarinic receptors and nicotinic receptors. There is a blockade of what activity? That is acetylcholine activity. Okay. So that's why here physostigmine is used to use for the belladonna poisoning. Because of this, physostigmine is potentiates the activity of acetylcholine. Okay, belladonna poisoning is suppress the acetylcholine activity. Okay, but physostigmine is potentiates the activity of acetylcholine. Okay, and this drug is antagonize the central and peripheral effects. And one more thing is diazepam drug. The drug should be control the convulsions. Okay, in at higher doses of atropine, it causes the convulsions. Here, the diazepam drug is used to control the convulsions. And this one is treatment of belladonna poisoning. Main thing is gastric lavage should be performed, and the person should be kept in a dark and quiet room. Apply the ice bags, and the drug treatment is physostigmine to potentiate the actions of acetylcholine, and diazepam is used to control the convulsions. Next, final thing is drug interactions, anticholinergic drugs interactions. Um, so here the absorption of many drugs is decreases. So when anticholinergic drugs are used along with another class of drugs, another category of the drugs, then what will happen? The absorption, it will be decreases. The absorption is decreases for another category of drugs. Why? Because of atropine, it is delays the gastric emptying. So as a result of delays the gastric emptying, there's the absorption of the many drugs is decreases. Okay, when anticholinergic drugs is used along with another drugs. Okay, and second interaction is antacids are inhibit the absorption of anticholinergic drugs. Okay, inhibit the absorption of anticholinergic drugs. Because of antacids, it is used to neutralize the gastric environment. So that's why antacids are reduces the absorption of or interfere with the absorption of anticholinergic drugs. And third interaction is antihistamines, tricyclic antidepressants, phenothiazines, and pethidine. So these drugs having anticholinergic property. Okay, tricyclic antidepressants are used for the treatment of depression. Phenothiazines are used in the treatment of psychosis. Okay, so these drugs are when this drug having anticholinergic property. So when these drugs are used along with anticholinergic drugs, there's a additive side effects. It will be occurs. Okay, because of anticholinergic drugs having adverse effects, that is dry mouth, um, what difficulty in swallowing and talking, dilation of pupil. So all these adverse effects of all these adverse effects, it will be increases. Okay, when these anticholinergic drugs are used along with these drugs, antihistamines, tricyclic antidepressants, phenothiazines, and pethidine. Because of all these four categories of the drugs having anticholinergic property. So when these drugs are used along with anticholinergic drugs, means it can shows the additive side effects. Okay, it shows the additive side effects with atropinic drugs. And the fourth interaction is monoamino oxidase inhibitor. Okay, so this monoamino oxidase inhibitors are inhibit the metabolism of central anti-Parkinson drugs. Inhibit the metabolism of central anti-Parkinson drugs. So then what will happen? The metabolism is inhibited by monoamino oxidase inhibitors. Then what will happen? The metabolism is inhibited means, okay, the metabolism of anti-Parkinson drug is inhibited means these monoamino oxidase inhibitors are potentiate the activity of anti-Parkinson drugs. Because of this monoamino oxidase inhibitors are inhibit the metabolism. The metabolism is inhibited means the drug should be available in systemic circulation for more time. Okay, the systemic in systemic circulation, the central anti-Parkinson drug the central anti-Parkinson drugs availability is very more, because of monoamino oxidase inhibitors are interfere with the metabolism of central anti-Parkinson drugs. Okay, so there is some kind of symptom is also produced, that is delirium. Delirium is nothing but mental disturbances. So these are the four major interactions. So anticholinergic drugs are delays the gastric emptying. So that's why it is inhibit the absorption of many drugs. Okay, antacids also interfere with the absorption of anticholinergic drugs, and some drugs having anticholinergic property. Okay, so when these drugs are used along with another our anticholinergic drugs, then what will happen? That it produces the additive side effects. And monoamino oxidases interfere with the metabolism of central anti-Parkinson drugs. Okay, so these are the interactions of anticholinergic drugs. Okay, so in next class I will discuss about Parkinsonism, anti-Parkinson drugs. Okay, I will discuss what is Parkinsonism and what are the symptoms of Parkinsonism and what is the pathophysiology of Parkinsonism and what is the drug classification and mechanism of action of anti-Parkinson drugs. Okay.